Hey, more than conquerors. Good evening. Good evening to each and every one of you. We are here live on today because we have a great interview with a wonderful young lady. She is more than a conqueror. She's actually part of our group, and so she's going to be sharing her testimony on today. I'm calling today's conversation, it's called, I'm trying to pull it up on the screen. It's called How and Why. You ever come across some folks and they've had like this great fitness journey, but like you want to know how did they do it and why did they do it? So this is going to be a great opportunity for you to ask her questions and really for you to hear her story. And as I was preparing for today, God just put on my heart about the importance of us understanding as more than conquerors that it's not just about weight loss. It's not just about losing some weight, but it's really about being in the most healthy position to do the work of God. And so I just want you to just center your mind and your heart, not so much about losing weight, but really it's just about God. I want to be at the most optimum and the most effective way to serve you and to advance your kingdom. Now, I understand some of you guys may be watching this video and you're not really sure, how did you come across this video? Well, I want to let you know that we are part of an open Christian Facebook community known as More Than Conquerors. And our whole idea, our whole vision is to really just have a healthier relationship with God and with food. And so you can find us on Facebook by just typing in More Than Conquerors in the Facebook search tab. Hit the button that says join the group, and we'll be more than happy to have you. Here at More Than Conquerors, we have interviews, we have daily encouragement, and we also just kind of share information about just being healthier and having a healthier relationship with God and food. Our foundational scriptures come from Romans chapter 12, verse 2, and also Romans chapter 8, verse 37. So we talk about do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good and perfect and pleasing will for your life. So we understand that when we're in this journey, we know that we need to have a transformed mind. And our guest, I'm sure she's going to talk about having a transformed mind. So that's our first foundational scripture. And then Romans 8 and 37, we're more than conquerors through the power of Jesus Christ. So we're not just conquerors in our own flesh, our own spirit, but we're more than conquerors through the power of Jesus Christ. All right, you guys, I'm going to bring in our guest for today. She is Miss Renae Washington. So Renae, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And congratulations on all of your success.
Thanks. It's been a long road.
It's been a long road. So I want you to tell us, Renae, just tell us a little bit about why did you decide to make this change? You've lost 58 pounds up to this date. So tell us, what was the start of this?
The start for me started back in 2014. So I found out that I had a lot of sensitivities to different types of foods. And I remember praying and asking God to help me with my weight loss journey back then. And God basically gave me a mandate last year to get started this year on the weight loss journey. So there are a couple of different things that I did to get that started.
Okay, so in 2014, you noticed that you were kind of having some intolerances to foods. There are a lot of folks that may be watching this live and on the replay. Can you just share with some of the examples of how you realized that some foods weren't necessarily your friend?
For example, I have what's known as an intolerance to gluten. So I have a gluten sensitivity, and a lot of people don't understand or recognize that gluten is not only in food, but it's in beauty products such as shampoo, lotions, different things, and it goes by a host of different names. So I really had to start reading labels. When it came to dairy products, I was just having like skin reactions. Sugar, there was also like reactions with that. I have a list of things that I just can't eat anymore.
Yeah. And so did the doctor say like where this intolerance came from? Was this something that came upon you as you became an adult?
Uh, it basically it's because of all the processed foods and all of the processed foods that we consume. A lot of this stuff that we eat nowadays, it was never meant for us to consume, and especially wasn't meant for us to have all of these chemicals in, because essentially we're eating chemicals. Like wheat used to be okay for us to consume, but they changed the formula in which they create wheat. And so it now contains more chemicals. So we're having basically chemical reactions to the chemicals that they're putting into our food.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about you making the decision where you realized that you had some intolerance to food in 2014. What was, so tell us about some of the changes that you began to make with your diet.
Well, I don't eat. I can give you a list of foods I don't. I don't eat gluten, which is found in breads, pastas, cakes, cookies, pies. I don't eat dairy. I don't eat sugar. I don't drink soda. I don't drink diet soda. Don't drink juice. I don't do soy. Don't do MSG. So it's just like a long list of things that I don't eat. Um, it was very hard because all of those things that I named, I had to give all of that stuff up at once. When people come now and they ask me, they say, "Well, how did you do it?" And I give them the list, and they're like, "I can't do that." And I'm like, "Yeah, you can." I said, "But you don't have to do it all at once." I was sick, like physically sick, so I had no choice. So what I tell people is, I give you the list, which is basically the most poisonous foods that you can ingest in your body, and you choose maybe 2 to 3 that you can give up. And caffeine and alcohol are on that list as well. A lot of people have issues with those two things as well. Because I know people that drink beer, you say, you joke with people having a beer gut or whatever. Well, beer is made from wheat, and wheat, when you ingest wheat, for most people, it does this to us. It bloats us. And so if you don't research these things, you don't know what type of chemicals you're ingesting, and you don't, it just leads to more health issues.
So, you guys, we're having a conversation today with Renae Washington. She is more than a conqueror. She's actually a member of our group, and she is sharing her how and why that God has allowed her to lose 58 pounds, and she's still going forward. So, she's just sharing her why and her how. So, Renae, you lost this weight. I want you to just kind of tell the viewers the person that you were before 58 pounds ago. Who was Renae?
Um, I was the same. The thing with the weight loss, it's more than a physical journey. Like I said, it was a mandate from God, and it's something that I needed to do simply because um, I know the purpose that God has for my life, and I can't get to the purpose to fulfill it if I am not healthy. I can't be of service to other people or be of service in the kingdom if I can't, if I don't have stamina to just do simple things, to stand up, you know, to just have stamina to just move around or whatever. And I was like pretty much lethargic, no energy or whatever. I still struggle with the energy. There are a couple of things that I did to help me with the weight loss. I enlisted the help of a few people. I hired a few people to help me, such as a personal trainer and holistic doctors who are able to pinpoint certain things within my genetic makeup and what works for me and what I need to do to continue on this journey.
So I see some of you guys are joining in for today's conversation. If you have any questions for Renae, we're going to have a time during our interview for you to ask Renae questions. So anything that you hear in this discussion that you want to just kind of highlight about, or you just have a comment, please feel free to type them out, and I'll be more than happy to pull them up and to share them with Renae. So Renae, you said that it was really a mandate for you to begin to make changes with your diet. And I really feel like that's important because this group, More Than Conquerors, it exists because everybody that has joined this group has felt some sort of pull or some sort of nudging or stirring by the Holy Spirit that, hey, my eating is getting out of control, or my food choices are not fueling my body like it should, that there's some help that I need and I must reach out really to God to help. I want to talk about the moment. I don't know if you remember, but I believe this was when you were kind of in the beginning of your fitness journey, and we met at Starbucks. And you were at a somber place, but you were just beginning to make some changes with your life. I want you to talk about just kind of the journey emotionally.
It's been very emotional. And it's still from 2014 to now emotional because I have so many food allergies, and you can meal prep, and meal prep is good, but sometimes you get tired of eating the same things. Like, for instance, I love salad. Salad is my favorite food. If they told me, pick something to survive off of the rest of your life, salad would be it for me. But there comes a time, where you need something else. Um, you have to kind of find what fits for you, and that's pretty much the journey that I'm on. I'm trying to figure out what fits for me. I figured out bits and pieces of it. Um, since I can't eat regular meat, I do eat grass-fed meat. Now that meat is a bit more expensive, but it's worth the money that you pay for it. There are certain types of meat that I don't eat, and I follow a very strict regimen. And the thing that keeps me going is that I see results, and I get compliments, and I get taps on my shoulders. Hey, you look good. I didn't recognize you there. So that kind of motivates you, as well as knowing that you're being obedient to what God has called you to do.
I want to talk about just the discipline that is required. You've lost 58 pounds and you're still going, and you posted, pictures from your journey of you working out. And I really feel like that's important for us as More Than Conquerors, that a lot of times we can look to God and say, God, why don't you do it? God, help me lose weight. It's almost like we want God to just do it. But, God requires us to put our feet to the faith, our feet to our faith. I'm reminded of 1 Corinthians 9:27, where the Apostle Paul, he says, no, I strike a blow to my body and I make my body a slave. So after I have preached to everyone myself, I have preached to everyone, I myself will not be disqualified. Renae, you strike a blow to your body. You strike a blow to your body. You're going to work out. You've hired experts to help you on your journey. You've had to pay expensive prices for food, but you're doing what is necessary so you can be healthy and live. I want you to just encourage folks that may feel a little trepidation about making that commitment for a healthier lifestyle.
No problem. So a few of the things that I did, I was connected with my personal trainer through a friend of mine that I went to school with, Deja Erin McGraw, you know her?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she connected me with my personal trainer, which is Miss Rakita Edwards, and she has a personal training company called Wasted by Rakita. And so I linked up with her in January, and from January to now, I've lost 58 pounds. As of right now, we are taking a break because I'm going to go see another naturopathic doctor who's going to help me with my energy level. When I started in January, my energy level was at 0. I saw a holistic doctor by the name of Dr. Raj Banerjee from May until September, and my energy level is at a 5 now. In order for me to finish and get to where I need to be, where I have enough energy, I need to solve this energy crisis. So I've in my lifetime, I've been to 2 holistic doctors. I'll see a third one who has a different approach to the energy issue that I'm having. So she will address that. And all three of them have imparted, some wisdom to me, and they all pretty much say the same thing about food and diet. And one thing I want to say is that um, in 2014, I was 273 pounds. I am now 179 pounds. I don't look like I'm 179 pounds. Like you could probably just see my face and my neck, but most people they look at me and they say, "Oh no, you're smaller than that. You don't wear this size. You don't wear this size or whatever." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm 179 pounds, and I was 273 pounds. So I've come an extremely long way. It can be done. It does take discipline. And one of the things that I did before I started on this journey, that I asked God to discipline me in every area of my life. And so, in order for me to get to the next step, and some of the next steps that He has for me, I had to have discipline because otherwise, I won't be able to do the work that He needs for me to do.
Yeah, I think, discipline is really important. And, tell us some of the things that you have done just practically and spiritually to become more disciplined. I know you said you prayed, but anything else that you want to share?
I pray more. I read. I'm trying to get more discipline as far as reading the Word, and so I've started doing that, and I'm sticking with that. Just trying to figure out how to take care of me. I think that's the biggest thing. Most people don't understand how to take care of themselves. I think a lot of times, especially as women, we give so much of our time and energy to other people, and then we kind of put ourselves on the back burner. And so now I've had to kind of reverse that trend and try to figure out what works for me. I have to make sure that I drink a certain amount of water. Typically, you take your body weight and you divide it by two, and that's the amount of ounces of water that you should consume a day to actually flush your system out. I'm just really mindful and focused on what I put into my body, what I put on my body, and I just I'm really tuned into that. Like I think about food all the time, but not in a bad way. If I'm out and I need to make a decision on what I'm eating because I couldn't bring lunch or I couldn't whatever, I have to make a conscious decision. Okay, what's the most healthiest thing that I can eat? 9 times out of 10, that's a salad.
Mhm.
Most of the time, what I eat during the course of a day is protein, protein, protein. So if I'm eating meat, I don't eat pork, I don't eat shellfish, but if I eat any type of beef or chicken or turkey, it has to be grass fed, it has to be organic. Um, there's just a certain, like with fruits, everybody's like, you eat fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables are great, but the body does not know natural sugar from any other type of sugar. When you put it in your body, sugar is sugar. So like certain fruits I can't eat, like bananas and other fruits that are like high glycemic and have a lot of sugar in it. So I've had to do a lot of research. I stay up on a lot of things. That's why I would, tell everybody, do some research and figure out what works for you. If you're eating foods and you're noticing that you're keeping a food journal and you're having a reaction, you probably shouldn't be eating that, or you probably should take that out of your diet, because most of the foods that are on the poisonous list are foods that we're not supposed to really consume that much of, or consume at all if you're in, my position where you have food intolerances or food allergies, which some of them can be life threatening.
Yeah, I think it's really important to be led by the Lord regarding what types of food to eat. I know that on my personal journey, there have been just some foods where God slowly but surely begins to eliminate from my life.
Right.
And here in this group, we're not legalistic, but we're just being led by the Lord. As with your personal journey, Renae, God began to highlight and give you a mandate that processed foods, foods with gluten, dairy, all of these foods, these are foods that are not good for your body. And you've had to make a decision and say, you know what, I want to live. I want to have a quality, I want to have an abundant life. So I'm willing to forego these foods. And I really think it's important for us to make sure that our appetites don't run us. And, that is something that, I'm constantly just personally having to put before the Lord to say that, my stomach is not my God, but I'm going to be led by the Lord. And, sugar, let's talk about sugar, because I know you wanted to share some things about sugar.
Yeah, well, I just want to share some things with about sugar and a couple other things. For one, sugar is highly addictive, and it's one of those things that it's hard to kind of shake, so to speak. And also, I talk a lot about dairy. Dairy is one of those things that we're really not supposed to consume. There is an ingredient in dairy called casein, I believe that's how it's pronounced. And basically, that particular ingredient is more addictive or just as addictive as some of the street drugs, such as heroin and other things. And people wonder why they crave cheese and they crave sugar and they crave caffeine. When you eat these different types of food, what you don't realize is that you're eating chemicals, and you're ingesting one chemical, and then it's interacting with the chemicals that are already in your body, and so it's causing different types of reaction. And so that's why I was saying, it's important that we get educated and read up on things. And the same thing with gluten and MSG, and that's why you have a lot of people, not even just in the African American community, but just in general, they have high blood pressure, diabetes, and all this type of stuff. When I started on this journey, I had diabetes. Thanks be unto God, I don't have diabetes anymore. It's gone.
Yeah.
Do you remember a couple of years ago, I was at a brunch with you, and what did you tell me? Do you remember what you told me? Mm-hmm. Okay, you told me, I remember this. You told me that God was going to use me in the area of healing. Wow. Remember that? Mm-hmm. So God is using me in that area, and He's healing more and more every day. The diabetes is gone, and there are other things that are going away. And I have to continue to pray for God to regulate my mind, because the enemy knows what my assignment is, knows what my purpose is, and he comes to kill, steal, and destroy. But we just have to continue to praise God and to just keep my mind focused on the journey at hand, because I have 29 more pounds to go, and I'm going to make my 29 pounds. It's not even about the 29 pounds. It's just about being obedient to God, about making my trainer proud, and making myself proud, because it's something that I set out to do. And I have spent a lot of money, and I invested a lot of money within myself. But I think it's good that we invest money in a positive manner, because we all have money that or things that we spend money on. So
absolutely, it's like either you're going to pay now, or you're going to pay, with an early death, or pay with a prescription or a surgery or whatever. And so I think, God, is giving you wisdom and your willingness to invest in yourself. And guess what? All your needs still continue to be provided for. And so, I think it's definitely worth the investment of a personal trainer. If you feel led by the Lord to do that, it's definitely worth an investment to eat whole foods, to pay, for vegetables and fruits and things like that. Sometimes healthy food, it costs more, but it's worth it. God will supply and meet the need.
Well, here's the thing. What do we consider healthy? If you go in a grocery store, let's say you go into a normal grocery store, not a Trader Joe's and not a Whole Foods. The outer areas of the store is where you should, mainly shop. You go into the middle of the store, 95% of that stuff is processed and packaged foods. You have to, you really have to get to a point where you say, first of all, start reading the back of the label. And if you can't pronounce half of this stuff and you don't know the definition or meaning behind it, you probably should not be eating it. You probably should not be eating it. And that's how I had to get. I was in the store and I was looking at what's in what, and you'd be surprised, a lot of the stuff that is poisonous. I looked and it's all meshed together. It's all in the same thing. As far as fruits and vegetables, I do a lot of shopping at Soulard Market. So wherever you're at, if there's a farmer's market, you can get over at the farmer's market. Now, as far as the meat, if you want to do grass-fed meat, that is quite expensive. But the thing is, you don't really have to eat as much. You have to eat to live. You don't have to live to eat. If that makes sense.
It does. Renae, we have a question from someone that's watching. She says, other than prayer, how do you motivate yourself?
I have a really good support system. Um, besides God, my trainer motivates me. I have people around me that motivate me. I keep pictures from 2014 that motivate me. um, my main motivation really is obedience, and then also I just feel better. Like you, there's no greater feeling than feeling better. Like I said, I had the past tense. I had diabetes. I don't have that anymore. I was at risk for um, an actual cardiovascular attack. I was at risk for a number of things. And the medicine that they give you for diabetes is actually far worse than the symptoms of diabetes. And what people don't realize is you have to make a decision. We basically have the United States government that allows for all of these chemicals to be put in the foods. Then you have to go to the doctor. The doctor gets paid. Then you go to the pharmacist after they write you a prescription or prescriptions, the pharmacist gets paid. And it's a continuous cycle, it's a continuous bracket. And you can treat most of these problems holistically by just changing your diet. It's not something that's going to be easy. Like I said, I've been dealing with this since 2014. But if you're adamant about really wanting to change, my suggestion is continue to pray, ask God to discipline you and to give you the mindset that you need to move forward. Everybody has their different ways of dealing with things, but that's really what I did. And another part of what I did is, most people probably won't do this either. I hired holistic doctors. I have seen so many different doctors that give me different things to do. The personal trainer that I have, Miss Rakita, has been awesome. And she stays on me. If I come to the gym and I'm, not feeling whatever, she's like, I don't want to hear excuses. Come on, let's go. So, I just have a good support system.
What are some of the best fruits to eat? That's another question.
Well, I eat apples, oranges. Every now and then, I will allow myself to have strawberries. Blueberries are very good. They're high in antioxidants. You want to stay away from the fruits. They have a lot of sugar, like some of the melons and like I said, bananas earlier, grapes, uh, cherries. You can have those things, but if you suffer with diabetes or you have an issue with sugar, the best thing for you to do is, if you can't go cold turkey, then to just kind of wean yourself off. So just kind of have less and less. You have to develop some discipline, and food journals work great. If you like to write, even if you don't like to write, there has to be a level of accountability. So you can't like blame, oh well, I went to this place and they had this, so I ate that. No, I can't say that, because then if I have something I'm not supposed to eat, I get sick. So then who do I blame? I have to have a certain level of accountability, and so I make sure that I am accountable for what I put into my mouth. Have I slipped up since January? Of course. I used to be a potato chip fiend. And I slipped up a few times, and I had some popcorn that didn't have anything on it, didn't have any salt or anything. And I still, I still have these cravings, but you have to continue to march on. And even when you slip up, don't beat yourself up about it. Just dust yourself off, pick yourself up, and keep going.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, Renae, we are coming up to a close on our time together. More Than Conquerors, I want to invite you to continue to put your comments on this thread. And since Renae is a member of our group, she can come back and she can answer any questions that you may have. So for those of you that may tune in and watch the replay and you have questions for Renae, go ahead and type your questions and Renae will see them and she will respond to your comments. Renae, any closing words or thoughts that you want to leave with the audience?
I would just say anybody that is trying to live a healthier lifestyle, uh, just make sure that you are committed. You have to be committed to the process. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. You cannot beat yourself up if the scale is not tipping your way or if the inches are not melting off. Everybody's body is different. Focus on your process. Don't focus on somebody else's process and what they're doing. For instance, my body type is to be lean and muscular. I've been told by several doctors and my personal trainer that I could be a bodybuilder. So I am. I do strength training. I do a lot of cardio. Mix it up. If you need a workout partner, find a workout partner. If you need a trainer, I know a few trainers besides my trainer, who is awesome. But find what works for you. Get started. Don't let the holidays coming up deter you. Diets don't work. Lifestyle changes do. And make sure that you keep God in the forefront of everything that you're doing and seek him regarding all things in your life.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, Renae, you are more than a conqueror. You are more than a conqueror. Renae, thank you so much for just sharing your wisdom and sharing your journey with us today.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, you guys, we'll see Renae in the group. So if you have any questions, you can just comment and let Renae know that you were blessed by her sharing her testimony. So she was our first ever guest where we are asking, well, how did you do it and why did you do it? And so she really shared her great story that, look, there were some issues that she was having with food and she felt like this was a mandate from God to make changes with her life. Some of the takeaways that I took away from Renae is that she said, look, you got to have a renewed mind. That's why one of our foundational scriptures is Romans chapter 12, verse 2, that God will renew our minds, that we'll be transformed by the renewing of our minds. Well, you guys, I pray that you've been blessed. Look at this picture of Renae, her before and her after. She's lost 58 pounds and she is still going strong. She has a goal in mind. I also want to invite you that if you missed our teaching on 3 ways to fight stress eating, I want to encourage you to check out our YouTube page where you can go back. You can go back and watch this video at a later date. And you can also go back and watch this video called 3 Ways to Fight Stress Eating. It is on our YouTube page. I'm going to see if I can type out the link right now. So, because I see I did not put that above, but you can always go back and watch other videos from this group and also from the ministry, Inspired Overflow, because we do a lot of videos, but you can go back and watch those and please subscribe so you won't miss any of the videos of our guests and interviews and teachings regarding having a healthier relationship with God and food. You guys, thanks so much for your attention on tonight. And I pray that you are blessed, and we'll be back with more inspiration and encouragement to help you have a healthier relationship with God and food. Be blessed.